This presentation will review how to complete and submit your application online. Our program uses FAAST, which is an acronym for the Financial Assistance Application Submittal Tool, hosted by the State Water Resources Control Board. Note that all applications must be submitted electronically. Hard copies will not be accepted. The FAAST system is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and this is what the home page looks like. On the left side of the screen, note that there are some helpful resources available, including links to frequently asked questions, how-to videos, and the FAAST user manual. If you have any questions about how to use FAAST as you are filling out your application, you may find these references helpful. In addition, at the bottom of the home page, you will find contact information for the FAAST Help Desk. The Help Desk can be contacted by both phone and email, and is staffed Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Although you may log on to FAAST 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the Help Desk is only staffed during these times. So note that if you send a question over the weekend, you won't receive a response until the following week. If you have used FAAST in the past, you can use your existing username and password to log on to FAAST and access our application. If you have forgotten your username and password, you will need to contact the FAAST Help Desk and they can retrieve it for you. If this is your first time using FAAST, you will need to create an account. Creating an account is a two-step process. Step 1 is the organization search. Step 2 is the user registration. For the first step, to find out if your organization is already in the FAAST database, enter any part of your organization name in the text box and click search. If the name of your organization is listed, select the organization name and proceed to step 2, user registration. If your organization name is not found, click create new organization, but please only do this step if your organization is not found. This screen is where you will enter information about your organization. At the bottom of this page, you will find boxes for the federal tax ID number and the DUNS number. A federal tax ID number is not required to access and work on your application, but it is required to submit your application. Therefore, you will need to begin the process of obtaining one if needed so that you have it before the submission deadline. A DUNS number, which stands for the Data Universal Numbering System, and is a unique identifier assigned by Dun & Bradstreet, is not required to submit your application, but if awarded grant funds, you would need to obtain a DUNS number before a grant agreement could be executed. When you have completed this page, you would click the Next Step button. For this demonstration, I am going to set up an account using an existing organization. I'm going to type in part of our name and click the search button. The user account page is where you will enter information about the individual that is filling out the application. This includes the first and the last name, title, and a phone number and an email address. It's important that you include an actual current email, phone number and email address. And email is especially important because email is CDFA's primary means of communicating with you about your project. And then if you want to receive email alerts from FAAST in the future about other grant opportunities, you would select yes from this drop-down menu. And then you want to go ahead and enter a username and password. And FAAST will let you know on the right-hand side if the username is available. And then lastly, you need to go ahead and select a security question. And hit Create User Account. A user confirmation page will appear, and you should also receive a confirmation email within 15 minutes. We recommend that you print this page and keep it in a safe place so that you don't forget this information. Then once you've created an account, you can convert back to the login page, and you can go ahead and log in. The main menu allows the user to start a new application, work on an application in progress, and view submitted applications. For today, we are going to go ahead and start a new application. And this will bring you to the System Disclosure page, which is one of several screens that will display before starting an application. So note that FAAST was designed and tested for use on a PC using Internet Explorer 6.0 or greater. Use of Macs or web browsers other than Internet Explorer may impact the ability to save information, upload attachments, or submit an application. So we highly recommend that you use Internet Explorer. Also be sure to save your work often and to disable any pop-up blocking software. So you're going to check all those 3 boxes and then click Continue. The next screen is the Select Applicant Organization page. This screen allows the user to identify whether they are submitting an application on behalf of their organization or on behalf of another organization. So simply choose the option that applies to you. The Active RFP or Request for Proposals page is where you will find a list of all current RFPs in FAAST. So for today, we are selecting the 2020 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. And this will bring you to the Getting Started page, which provides you with information about the RFP selected and allows you to verify the applicant and submitting organization, which is found here. Review this page to confirm everything is correct before clicking the Continue to Application button. Clicking this button will initiate the application, and you will be assigned a PIN or project identification number for your proposal. So note that the application is organized in a series of tabs. Note that the active tab or tab you're working on is in a lighter color and the non-active tabs are darker. The general information page is the first page of the application form. Note that the PIN number and the status of your project are up here in the corner. Please make a note of the PIN and keep it in a safe place. You will need your PIN number to access your application, and you will also need to reference it if you contact CDFA or the FAAST Help Desk about your project. So as we scroll down, there are a couple of required fields. First, you need to type in a project title. And a project description. So note that the character limits for each text box will be indicated below each box in red. Characters include letters, numbers, punctuation, spaces, and special characters. As we mentioned earlier, we recommend that you compose your text in Word. Another benefit is that it can be used to check if you're within the character limits for a given entry. And then you will also need to select a county for your project, and this can be done from the drop-down menu. If your organization is located outside of California, identify the county within California where project activities will take place. When you are ready to move to the next tab, it is a good idea to click Save as Work in Progress to ensure that you don't lose any information, and then click the Next button. On the Project Budget tab, you're going to go ahead and enter the funds requested in this first text box. And then you're going to enter any local cost match And then note, you're going to have to go ahead and manually enter the total sum because FAAST will not do it for you. And then also note there's a field again to enter your federal tax ID number. As a reminder, you will not be able to submit your application without this number. On the Funding Program tab, select Apply for the 2020 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. The Project Management Budget tab shows information about the applicant and is where information about the project director and project manager are entered. The project director is the authorized representative for the applicant organization. If your project has a principal investigator, typically that would also be the project director. The project manager serves as the day-to-day contact for the applicant organization. Again, it is important to ensure that phone numbers and email addresses are current, since CDFA will correspond with these individuals regarding the project. And remember that email is CDFA's primary method of communication. Also, we highly recommend that you list 2 different people for these positions. That way, if there is any difficulty reaching one individual, for example, one is on vacation, we can still reach the other person. The Cooperating Entities tab is where you will enter information about any cooperators working on the project. A cooperating entity is an organization that has a role or makes a contribution to the project. These could include organizations that will work as contractors on the project, or those that are committing matching funds or in-kind contributions. You can list more than one cooperating entity by filling out this information and then clicking the Save Cooperating Entity button. Also, please be sure that you have the consent of the individual or organizations listed as cooperators before adding them to your application. In the past, we have had applicants list cooperators without informing them first, which caused issues during the technical review process. The Questionnaire tab features the questions specific to the 2020 Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. In other words, this is the main part of the application. I want to point out the session timer that is at the top of this page. It can be found here. While you are working in the Questionnaire tab, the time counts down from 90 minutes to 0. To reset the timer, simply click the Save as Work in Progress button, and the timer will reset to 90 minutes. Please note that if you've been working in the Questionnaire tab for 90 minutes and the timer expires and you didn't save your work, you will lose all of the information you have entered and there isn't any way to retrieve it. So as we scroll down the page, I apologize, my mouse is a little bit sensitive. You can see that you can select the type of organization from the drop-down menu, and you will also see all of the questions that you need to answer. And as we mentioned before, you can find the character limits for each question at the bottom of each text box. And as we discussed before, there are 2 templates that are required to be submitted with a concept proposal application, the Outcome Measures template and the Budget template. And here's where you can attach them by going to the Attachments tab. So you will scroll down on this page, and you'll simply select the title of which attachment that you want to select, and you'll browse to attach it, and hit Attach Selected File. If you have attached it successfully, underneath here under Attachment tab, you'll see the title of the template that you attached. So it's also a good idea to check this attachment, open it, and make sure that you did in fact attach the correct template and that it is in a Word file. All right, so up at the top here, I also want to draw your attention to the Feedback tab. The Feedback tab is where you will receive feedback that is obtained during CDFA's administrative and technical review process, but that information will not be available until after the review process. And then the Add User tab allows you to add other people to work on your project. but note that only one individual can work on a project at a time. So once you have completed your application and uploaded your outcome measures and budget template, previewing the application is a good way to make sure the application is complete. And so you can do this by going to the bottom of the page and selecting the Preview Submit button. As you can see, I didn't do a very good job. I didn't answer any of the questions, as they are all highlighted in red. This will give you a good chance to review your work, and we also suggest that you have somebody else review it to make sure that nothing is missed, there weren't any typos or grammatical errors. And when you are satisfied that everything is complete, hit the Application Completion Check button. This will alert you to any missing required information, such as one of the templates or the federal tax ID number. You can see from the bottom that I did not attach the outcome measures template, so I need to go back to the application to the Attachments tab. And as I scroll down, I can see that both of my required templates have been attached. Then I'm going to go back ahead and I'm going to click the Preview Submit button and go back to the Application Completion Check button. It's also important to note that the Application Completion Check button is only going to check for those required attachments and documents that we mentioned. It's not going to check to see for any unanswered questions. So FAAST isn't going to tell you if you forgot to answer the program priorities question. So it really is important to make sure that you answer all of the questions. And so then after running the completion check on the application, if it is complete, you're going to, the certification and submission statement will appear at the bottom of the questionnaire tab. To submit the application, you'll read the certification and submission statement. You're going to enter your initials here, and then click the Submit Application button. Once the Submit Application button is clicked, a submission confirmation screen will appear to confirm your application has been received. In addition, an email will be sent within 24 hours to confirm the receipt of your application. Once submitted, you will not be able to access your application on your own. If it is before the deadline and you want to see your application to check something, you may contact the FAAST Help Desk and they can release the proposal back for you to edit. If it's after the deadline, you will not be able to access the application. And then finally, I'd like to review a few quick tips for submitting your application. As we mentioned, make sure you save your application often. Remember, you have a 90-minute timer that will only reset when you select Save and Work in Progress. Make sure you actually submit your application. Sometimes applicants think that they have submitted their application only to find out they never selected the Submit button. And lastly, do not procrastinate. Please plan ahead, be proactive, and leave yourself enough time to deal with any issues that may arise. And this concludes the FAAST presentation.